recorded.
Well, so I wanted to talk a bit more about sex, what sex is used for, because they have essentially entrapped us into being their food for literal, possibly thousands, tens of thousands of years, possibly millions of years, because we don't know when this actually started. We can only guess, right? We can only guess, and they have said that the Y chromosome is millions of years old at least, right? So we can assume that it had existed in the human species for that long, but it could have also been those are the times that it existed on its own, right? But we don't know. But we do know that recorded history since from the minute of recorded history, right? They have been doing this. They have trapped us into being their food, whatever it is that they are getting from sex. Right? They have trapped us into giving it to them willingly. They have trapped us into thinking that it is normal for us when it is killing us, right? So I wanted to actually review this article that I wrote. Sex is not for babies. It's parasitism of females by males. Yeah, And the reason, see, I choose my words very carefully, okay? When I say females, I don't mean women, okay? I don't mean women. I actually mean females, right? Because they're doing this to infant girls too. They are doing this to infants as well. It's just really sickening. So the proof that sex is not for you to have a child with. If you are designed, let me help you understand biology. Because not understanding biology is what made is part of what made this happen, right? Part of what made us really susceptible to this parasitism to this degree that it can go on for tens of thousands of years, possibly millions, and we don't even know. Okay, let me tell you about biology. If if you are supposed to have a child, yeah, if you are designed to reproduce, your biology would have made a way for you to reproduce that does that. That does that and nothing else. Just like how you have your blood circulating through your body, and that is all it does. That is all it does. You don't have your circulatory system doing all kinds of things. It does exactly what it needed to, and no more and no less. If you are supposed to procreate, have a child, you would have a reproductive system that does just that. Now, what are males using the female reproductive system to do? They are coming inside of us. That's it. That is what is used for. We are their cum dump. We are their cum dump. That is what they're using us for. But that's not, but it isn't just that. Whatever it is that I believe that there is an energy transfer, right? I believe that there's an energy transfer that releases a chemical, right? That releases a chemical that is likely from the female that is absorbed by the male penis, right? This is just a theory. I believe that that is what is happening. And the reason, and that would also explain why they would need us alive, right? Instead of, killing us like they really would like to. Which is that the chemical would not be released if the person is dead, if the woman is dead. You understand? It would not release if the woman is dead. That would be another layer of that. So if you're supposed to reproduce, your reproduction system would not be doing all of this. It would have a design to not allow for this. It would have a design where this is not necessary, where this would not be happening, which means that it is happening because they have made it so they repurposed it like that. Again, what repurposing means is the way we consume plants, okay? The way we consume other organisms, yeah? They are plants. They are just living organisms that just want to live exactly like we do. We repurpose them into our food. So what you call strawberries, right? What you call strawberries and broccoli and fish, those are just organisms who were meant to live. We repurpose them that way. So the way we use them is not what they're designed for. They're not designed to feed us, unlike what we have been led to believe with the circle of life. And the reason we believe that was because it is an easy conclusion to make, because that is what everybody is using. But the reason, because and the other part is that because plants, basically the ones who are on the level of the hierarchy of predation, right? They're the lowest rung, right? But they didn't evolve it that way. They evolved, but they didn't evolve to do that, right? They didn't evolve it, that wasn't part of their evolution to be that. It was just that the way the way physics works, right? Which is the food can only support the food can support the food must be more abundant than what it is feeding, right? Which means that there is a natural limit that is not enforced by us or the plants, right? But by actual nature, by the nature of what is going on, right? The food that you must consume must be more than the people who are consuming it. Yeah. So if we have very little food, that means our numbers would dwindle to the place where there is abundant food. That is when the equilibrium will have been reached. That is pure physics. That is pure physics. That stems from from natural laws, right? That stems from natural laws, just the way nature behaves, right? So that is why plants outnumber us. It's not because they were designed to, somebody created plants to feed us. That is just how we it worked out. So let's flip that on the side, right? Let's say that we become the food. Let's say that we now become the food, as numerous as we are, right? We are going to be, whoever is going to be consuming us, they will have to number less than us. That's just how the physics is, right? So this is why it is a problem for men to outnumber us, because they are consuming us somehow, right? This is why it is a problem that they outnumber us. And worse, even though there is that part going on, which is the actual number ratio, the physical presence of actual men to women, right? But there's also a dating presence. There is a dating market presence of women participating in the dating market, right? The food that are on market for sale, right? Far are far lower than the demand for them, right? So there are two of those things happening where the men now outnumber the women on the dating market. So that is also causing, that is where the problem, there's the male loneliness crisis is coming from, right? So there is that dynamic. That is just a natural dynamic that happens, that the food must outnumber the, the consumer that is when equilibrium is reached, right? That is the condition for equilibrium, when things work well. When it is the opposite, it doesn't work well. And then it's going to reach an equilibrium where some people are just going to have to die, in order for the balance to be restored, right? So when it consistently does that, it is inevitable that the plants outnumber us. It was not like a divinity, a divine plan for that to happen. God didn't create plants to feed us. God didn't create anything, right? We basically self-created. We actually self-created. We all self-evolved into what we see today, and we are still evolving. We are still self-evolving. The men are also self-evolving. Cats are also self-evolving. Lions are self-evolving. Fishes are self-evolving. There is no grand plan. There is no grand plan. There never was. So back to the reproduction. We are supposed to reproduce. Yeah? That means our reproduction system would behave only in that way, just enough to reproduce. Sex would be just enough to reproduce, exactly like how, you don't have your digestive system doing all kinds of things, right? It is designed enough for you to eat, to consume, and then send it to your body. That's it, that's when it's done. That's it, that's when it's done. The same thing with your muscles, right? The same thing with your brain. The reason you don't have your brain crackling all over the place, right? And it's just focusing on making your body run, it's because that is how biology designs itself. So all this extra activity of, sexual deviancy, child pornography, I want this and I want that, I want sex. After we've had 10 babies, I still want sex. No, those are all proof that the males, that you're not supposed to have children with males. They're doing too much. They are doing too much. Biology does not do too much. Biology does not do too little. Biology does exactly right. Why? Because biology is genius on a level. So it can afford to do that. The rest of us, mortal people, right? The rest of us, mortal women, we only have we get to do too much because we are not genius. We are basically trial and error a large portion of life, right? But not genes. So genes can afford to do exactly enough because they are on that genius level. Which means all this sex stuff. We have 4 kids, and I still need sex. My sex life is this. If I need a woman to be with me for the rest of her life, that is too much. If you were really supposed to use males to have babies, you would have had, you would have sex one time. You would have a baby that one time, and then you will have been done with the sex. Say amen? No. Actually, let's say, hey, women. Say, hey, women. Hey, women. Yes. If you were meant to have sex with these men in order to have babies, you will have had sex one time. You will have had a baby. That would have been it. Because what the heck else do you need? You've already achieved what you want. Mm-hmm. So all of this too much. All of this, I need you for life. We need to be married for life, and you cannot go anywhere. And if you go anywhere, I'm gonna kill you. Those are all too much for the purpose that they've told you that they are for. Those are a little too much. The reason you blink 24/7 is because that is exactly what your eyes need to stay moist. And you can tell it yourself, even just a little bit. When you don't blink, even just a little bit, you feel how you feel, right? You feel like your eyes about to gouge out. Biology has the capacity to do just enough. Therefore, that is what it does. If you do have the capacity to do just enough, that is exactly what you would do. And in any place of life, right? Whether you're bathing, whether you're running, when you have the capacity to do just enough, that is exactly what you do. Because what the heck is the purpose of doing more than you need to? It has no purpose, which means, again, the reason the men need you for sex for life is because you're not supposed to have sex with them. It is because that is their purpose is not to have children with you. Their purpose is to consume you. That is the behavior. That behavior, that design is only for consumption when consumption is at play. That specific behavior is only when consumption is at play, where it's pleasurable for you. It's pleasurable for you. You want to put as little energy into it as possible, right? The reason you want to put as little energy into it as possible is because it is an ongoing thing, right? It is an ongoing life thing. You literally have to consume for your entire life, which means if it is hard, you would not want to do it. This is again another proof that your biology is designed for your life to be very, very effortless. That even though it would kill you to not consume, if consuming is too hard, you would not want to do it. You would not want to do it. This is why it is supposed to be easy. This is also another reason why the plants become the most numerous of us, because in order for it to be easy, we have to have abundance, right? So when there is more consumers than there is supply, then it becomes difficult. And that is actually part of what is playing into the physics of that dynamic of where the plants numerous outnumber all of us, right? The plants have to outnumber us because each and every organism has this idea that if consumption is too hard, we would not do it. If consumption becomes too burdensome, it would not happen. You would only be able you would only so far be willing to farm every goddamn day, right? You would only so far you're not gonna want to farm hard work every single day for you to eat. This is why we even have what we save. Even when you're doing your own farming, you save some for later. You buy fish and you preserve it for later. Preservation have always been part of human biology. This is why you save for later, so that what it is later easier. This is how biology designs. So again, back to the sex. The very purpose of them wanting you for sex for life is proof that sex is not for having kids. It is consumption. The only possible way that sex would be for kids would be if you had a kid, yeah, and the first time it takes. Did you hear me then? You have a kid. That means that you don't have to keep trying. That means you do not have to keep trying. One time you have sex, if it was really designed to help you have kids, you would have sex one time and then you would have been done. You would have been satisfied. He would have been satisfied, and the kid would materialize the first time. And if you want more kids, the same thing will have happened. He would have been satisfied. You would have been satisfied, and the kid will materialize. That means you would have had to have sex twice your entire life if you want kids. If you want 4 kids, you would have had to have sex 4 times your entire life. The way it is designed is taking far too much excess that could never happen simply because biology, our genes, the very ones who make everything about us, who materialize everything about us, they are on a genius level that they don't need to engineer like that. They can afford to do things exactly as they need to be, and no more and no less. sex is not for kids. Sex is consumption. Sex is violent against you. Sex is violent against women. And if you look at the parthenogenesis, that is inevitable in the speech that you are hearing from me here. If you're hearing what I'm saying, which would be that if the sex is not for having babies, something else was designed for you to have babies. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Why? Because you were designed to have babies. And if sex was not what was designed for you to have babies, something else was designed for you to have babies. It is just that these people, these creatures, they hijacked that thing that was really designed for you to have babies. Oh, God, Jesus Christ. I feel like a prophet. I feel like a prophet. Because when you unravel these things, they just continue to come because everything feeds into everything, because everything is mutually inclusive. If you are an organism that is supposed to reproduce, which we know every organism is, that means there would be a provision in your body for you to have kids. And your genes are such genius level that whatever provisions they make for you to have kids with, it will do just enough to accomplish exactly that and no more and no less, which means what the men are doing, having you have sex every day, and then suddenly you get pregnant by mistake, like by chance. You get pregnant by chance. That is not how your body works, okay? Biology does not work like that in any way, shape, or form in any organism. In any organism does it work like that. In no organism does it work like that, which means you have another design that was meant for you to have kids with that will have accomplished exactly that. You have a kid and then you're done. That every single time when a kid is supposed to materialize, it will materialize. It would not be a guessing game. It would not be a guessing game. You got to lie down for a man, and he's got to pump you for God knows a year, and then maybe you would have a kid. You would have a kid. No, biology does not do that. This is why I say it is impossible. It is impossible for these males to be human because the way this thing was designed is not the way biology designs in any organism. And which means that if you look at their system, the things that they're doing is designed to achieve for them exactly that which they need achieved and nothing more and nothing less. Their system works like that too. Like how I'm telling you. So back to parthenogenesis. If the sex thing is, if its design is so far outside of the box of what is possible for your genes, of what your genes would do, that means something else was designed. Something else was designed, and the only other option would be for you to have a child on your own. That would be the child. And if you look at the way our period works, every single time there is an egg, you have your uterus. Your uterus is preparing for a child, which means that is the design you would have if every single time your egg comes, it's supposed to materialize a baby. Oh, do you hear me? That is the design you would have that fits exactly what I was saying. That every single time an egg is released, your body is prepared to have a child. Your body is prepared to implant a child. That is exactly how your genes would have designed it. You hearing me? Are you hearing me? The reason is that your genes are on a different level of performance. Your genes are on a different level of performance. They are performing at the level of genius, of pure ingenuity. Okay, which means they don't have. So that means that they have the luxury of being perfect. That means they have the luxury of aiming for perfection because they are that good. Yeah. If you look at the way the sex is designed from the point of view of the man, it is designed for them to fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, because that's what they need, which means it is designed perfectly, no more and no less, for what they want. The only reason they are failing at it is because they are in the wrong form. And that form that they're in is interrupting their own thing that they're supposed to do to us. That's another reason why they hate us. The wrong form, our form, is actually protecting us when they have a micro penis. When they have a micro penis, it's because the genes, right? It doesn't really perform well with us because our genes are getting in the way of it. So let's go back to the sex thing. If you are an organism that is designed to have kids, your body would 100% of the time make provisions for exactly that, for you to achieve exactly that. And the provisions that your body would make would inexorably be very focused and exactly that. It would be focused on doing just that, nothing more, nothing less. That every behavior, every activity, every biological process would achieve exactly that and nothing else. There will be no extraneous steps. There will be no superfluosity of steps. I don't know. I think I just made up that word. There will be no superfluous steps. You would have one baby, you would have sex one time, and boom, you would have a baby. And that is exactly why your period is set up that way. That is why you bleed every month. And that is why and each bleeding is congruent with when you release an egg. Because every time you release an egg, you were supposed to have a child because that is the most efficient way for that reproductive system to be set up. Because why would you release an egg? Why would you spend all the energy into an egg that isn't going to make anything? Why? 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 Now you might have the luxury of running all around town, and when you do errands and you messing it up, right? You might have the luxury, right? Because you're not a genius. You can't think about things far ahead, etc., etc. But your genes are working on a very different level. They are working in the ninth dimension, right? They have the luxury of thinking about all these things because they are doing. I need you to look at your body right now. Your one finger. If you held your one finger for like, excuse me, if you had a paper in between your fingers, you will have lost 400,000 cells. Do you understand how many cells your body has to have for you to lose 400,000 cells that easily? And every single cell in your body gets replaced 90 days. You are a whole new person. And those cells, right? They make you, when you renew 90 days, your entire body, yeah, you look exactly the same. This is the genius of genes. This is the genius level of genes. You look exactly the same so that nobody knows that you've actually replaced yourself for 90 days. That means that for all the cells in your body to be replaced 90 days, your body is on constant work, constant duplicating your genes. Constant work, non-stop work 24/7. Do you know what it takes to make all of that happen? And not only that, but for decades and decades and decades, look at plants. Look at the way plants work. Plants live literally forever. Plants live forever, which means their genes are doing that forever. That is genius level. That is an unmatched level of genius. That is why your genes can afford to be exact. No more, no less. No superfluous nonsense. They are on some level. They are in the ninth dimension of working. They are in the ninth dimension of genius. That means that you are supposed to be parthenogenic. You are supposed to be engaging in virgin birth. Your way to reproduce is virgin birth, not sex. The only way we were designed to reproduce is virgin birth. This sexual reproduction thing, it is an installation by the males. Oh, it gets me so hot when I think about it. It gets me so hot when I think about it because the level of deception that had to have happened. Your genes can't afford to be exact in how they design processes because they are on ninth level of genius, a ninth dimension level of genius. You are just you, and they are ninth level dimensions. Sex is not for reproduction. The normal way to reproduce for a human is virgin birth, parthenogenesis. And look at all these things that these men are doing in the sex thing that's supposed to have a baby. Oh, by the way, we haven't even talked about why it takes you so long to actually have a child. That's because when the sperm it goes into your body is moving quickly to destroy it. Now, does this sound like what a ninth dimension level of being will do? A genius that the thing that it designs, it's supposedly designed for you to have a baby with. It goes in there and what kills everything. Is that how a genius would design a process? This sexual reproduction is not how you were designed to have children. This is not our design. This is the nonsense that they did to us. They did this to us. Sexual reproduction is how they are parasitizing us. You know, I keep using that word, but I never actually looked it up to see if it's right or not. What is the actual word? I know it's not correct. I keep using it. What is the actual word? There is supposed to be one. Parasitizing. Parasitize. Oh, that's interesting. This says that it's correct. Parasitizing. Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that was actually a word. That was actually correct. Okay, so that is how they are parasitizing us. That is what they did to us to enable their parasitism. When you look at a virus, and it's when you watch a video about a virus in on YouTube, and it's saying that the virus attaches to the host cell, etc., and it has to do something to the virus. That is what they did to us. Sex is their thing that they did to us. Sexual reproduction is their thing that they did to us. And you have to understand that parthenogenesis is so much a part of us that they cannot erase it. Do you know what that means? I need you to make a comment. If you know what that means you still have it, except that it is blocked. It is basically on lockdown from what the males did to us. It is only on lockdown. That means your true nature is still there for every woman. Say, hey, women. Say, hey, women. Say, hey, women. Yes, your ability to have children is still there because it is so innate to us that it cannot be erased. Exactly like how plants work. Do you know how plants actually work? Let me tell you how plants actually work. If you cut a plant, right? And then you plant the top side, right? The part that you cut, and then you planted it, it will continue to grow because it grows from every pore. Oh, say a woman. I need you to say a woman because that is just how awesome we are. I need you to say a woman. That is how awesome our biology is. That is what they robbed us of. If you cut a plant, as long as it is the vegetative part, right? Any part that is not the fruit or the flowers, right? It would just continue to grow because it grows from every pore. That's like the lizards. That's like the lizards. I actually wonder how much of that are everybody supposed to have? Is everyone supposed to have that feature? Every organism supposed to have that feature, and we simply don't have it because of the consequences of what they did to us. I actually believe that is real because you see our body heal, right? You see our body heal. How do we know that we're not supposed to always be able to heal from a whole limb? How do we know that? Because I believe that is something that will be possible if we actually have access to, if not for what they did to us, if we actually had access to the second X that they robbed from us. By the way, the second X, we have a second X. We simply don't have access to it. That is how they locked down our reproduction, our parthenogenesis. Whew. Say, hey, women, because that is how awesome women are. That is how awesome the female entity is. Look at how plants behave. And they want to tell me that, having fruits, right? Fruit is sexual reproduction. That is the way, that is the better way. How do you know that though? How do you know that? Because it feels to me that something is making them do that. Because if you can propagate the way that you already do, right? And it takes so much less energy for you, and your plant never dies. Why would you choose any other way? What exactly is it that you're looking for that would choose any other way? All the things that they're telling you, which is, it's going to be a clone of another one. Have you ever seen two plants that are clones of each other? Have you actually ever seen that? I have never seen one. I have never seen a plant that is a clone of another plant. I don't think that they're telling the truth in that. I'm actually researching that right now. And as I was thinking about it, I realized that if plants can propagate themselves in any manner, like just as long as you have any part of the vegetation, why would you need to grow flowers, grow fruits, and all that stuff? Listen, I don't think you get that. I don't think you get that. Let me explain to you how easy that is. If you could, let's say have $1, right? And you could cut your dollar into half, and then you could have $2. Why would you go to work? That's basically that. Why would you ever bother to go to work? Wouldn't you just sit your ass there and cut your dollar in half the whole day? That would be your work. That's basically the nonsense that they want us to believe. I don't believe that that fruits are actual plant through biology. I think something is making them do that as well, just like it did to us. I believe something is making them produce fruits when they normally would not produce fruit. Why would you have the ability to cut your dollar into 10 and get $10? And then you'd be like, oh, I gotta get up, I gotta take a shower, I gotta go to work, I gotta go farm, I gotta go plant this, I gotta go, make some money, I gotta go sell this, I gotta go sell that. You would just sit in your house and cut your dollar to 10, and then cut the next one to 10. By the time you've done that 3 times, what? You would have what? Over $30. By the time you've done that enough times, you will have rent. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense to do anything else when there is to do a more complicated process, a far, far more complicated process, when a far simpler one works just as well. What they told us was that there is a benefit for doing it the more complex way. And I review the benefits. I mean, and insofar as our reproduction is, which is that, do we actually vary our genes enough to matter? And I realized that we already have a way to vary our genes. It's a lie that we need them. It is 100% a lie that we need them for anything. We already have a way to vary our genes. And what if we don't? What if we don't have a way to vary allergies? Have you ever seen plants die because, oops, they all have the same genes? Because they all propagated the same way? Have you ever heard that happen? Have you actually ever seen that happen? Because the only time I've ever heard of that happening was from experiments, from scientists. Guess who scientists are? Guess what gender they are? Yeah. Guess what gender? Guess what gender the scientists are? Even if that does happen, that what they said is true, that if you don't vary your genes enough, you could fall prey to an organism that attacks you, etc. Wouldn't you simply just evolve a better way of varying your own genes instead of taking on a much more complex process that is not only going to, that is going to endanger you, right? But also may not actually result in a child. This is the human level of thinking. I mean, but not because they are the ones who physically did this, right? Their genes did this. Their genes did this to us, right? But they are trying to explain what their genes did to us with their human nonsense. But their genes are also on a genius level. Their genes are ninth dimension, genius level. And they're trying to explain it in their mortal way. They're trying to explain it in their non-genius way, and it's falling flat. If you just find a better way of varying your genes, which is probably why we do in fact have a way to vary our own genes. That's probably why we do have that. Because that is exactly what you would do if you were a genius set of genes. You would find a much simpler but better way, faster way, much more efficient way of varying the genes so that what? You can protect your organism, which is protecting yourself. You wouldn't go and design a whole new process that takes on another organism. This is literally, actually, the singular thing here is that it requires another organism, and genes do not do that unless you are a parasite. The only time that happens is that It is a parasite gene. The only time that happens is that it is a parasite gene. Your own genes do not ever need to rely on another organism, right, for your survival. Y'all to say a woman because I am feeling particularly powerful just when I talk about this. When I talk about what is possible for women, it makes me feel freaking like a miracle child. It makes me feel like a miracle child because we command these genes that think on this level. We command them. Actually, no, they command us. Actually, no. They command us. They command us because I certainly didn't make myself be able to talk like this, right? No, the genes command us, but we have them. We have these genes that are on ninth dimension. They are working in our favor. Doesn't it make you feel powerful? I sure do. I sure do. And I hope that we get to that stage where we can release our parthenogenesis so that you can see just how wonderful we actually are. So you can perceive that which is woman, which is the true nature of woman. That is even more powerful than what you see here. Let's see what these men are doing. This so-called sex thing. This so-called sex that is supposed to be for reproduction. What? They're doing snuff films? They're raping infants? What is an infant going to give you in terms of a baby that you need to have sex with it? Hmm? Why would you have children and then kill them? If you were supposed to be helping them have those children. Hmm? Why is an 11-year-old gang raping other children? What is it? Hmm? Why do you need to gang rape? This is like your um digestive system hostaging your lungs. Hostaging your lungs in the pursuit of digesting food for you. This is just pure gibberish. The way this thing is designed for this supposed purpose of having children. It is pure gibberish in the making. It is pure gibberish to design anything like this. Like there's far too much. It's far too much superfluousness into it, which means it can never actually achieve what it's supposed to achieve. Why do they hate a pregnant body? No. Really, hold on a second. Hold on a second. This is like when you eat something and then you're full. You know how you sit there and you rub your stomach? Do you feel that pleasure sometimes? That's like you hating that body. This is insane. Why would you hate the result of your own biology, which you desperately need? It's crazy. Can't they take a sex break? If sex was really for a child, why can't you take a break when a woman is pregnant? If you've achieved your goal, what the hell else is there to do? Why get married? Why get married so that you have to provide sex for a lifetime like a freaking indentured servitude? Why do it with pipes? Why do you have the urge to do it with pipes? Why do you have the urge to do it with dead people? Huh? Why boys? Why boys? Why males? Why would you want sex with males? Why would there be gay men if sex was for reproduction? I will actually tell you why there's gay men. I actually don't know. I'm still thinking about that. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to figure that out. Except for this. This will be the reason why there's gay men. This will be the reason, because it is the sex is for something else. The sex is not for having children. Sex is not for having children. That was just the lie, the deception, the manipulation, the inception that was told to you in order for you to willingly engage in it. If you knew this stuff, you would never lie down with a male ever again in your life. Sex is not for you to have kids. It is for you to be violenced. Sex is violence. Why farm animals? Why are they doing it with farm animals? Are you trying to have children with farm animals? Are you? Why, if it is for sex, excuse me, if sex is for babies, why do you need to beat your junk 24/7? Have you seen men outside? I actually now finally realized yesterday, something made me realize why they grab onto their junk in public. They've been touching that thing all day before they made an appearance in public. And that was the habit. That was the habit that their hand and their mind took from that constant behavior. That is why they keep touching themselves. The men who are touching themselves are the ones who were doing it right before they showed up in public. They were beating their junk. They touched themselves in public because they were beating their junk. Because they are always beating their junk. Oh God, deliver us from these creatures. They touch themselves in public because they are always beating it. And they picked up that habit of touching themselves. That is what it is showing up outside. Why they're telling us that we should not be, we should not even be able to see from one eye. They are beating their junk and trying so hard and have to pull themselves from doing it in public because their hand picked up the habit. Their hand picked up the habit of doing that because they're beating it constantly. Nasty creatures. When you want to have a baby, why do you need to have sex a bunch of times? Why wouldn't it just be one time, bam, you're done, you got a baby? Why wouldn't that be so? Because your body, your immune system is killing the sperm because it thinks the sperm is some evil creature invading you because it is. Because it is. The reason you even have an immune system, if you understand your immune system, I took college biology on different levels, okay? Because I have a life science degree, okay? I'm not going to tell you which one. I have a life science degree, okay? And one of the things that we talked about was, I actually just lost my train of thought. So let's scrap that. Let's scrap that. The way your immune system works, is that you are not supposed to have any foreign organisms inside of you. Does that align with someone who's supposed to get a sperm to make a baby with? A sperm from outside, from a foreign source. Is that what that is? Is that how that behavior would be set up? Or would there be a provision made for the sperm Wouldn't there be a provision made for the sperm? There is not. That is why your immune system kills it. You have to consume living organisms for food. You have to do that. Your body made a whole digestive system to enable that. Do you get this? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Your entire digestive system is precisely made for you to eat other organisms. It is designed specifically. It is the provision made for you to bring in foreign organisms into your body. That is your digestive system. That is why it uses acid to kill anything foreign, to kill anything that isn't supposed to be there, to kill any invading organism that isn't supposed to be there. See, that design is literally like perfect because it knows that you're going to be getting foreign organisms. And in case you got the wrong ones, it uses acid to digest the food so that the acid ends up killing a lot of the microorganisms. This is why, even though we know food poisoning happens, it is still very rare. It is still relatively rare to the amount of activity that we are engaging in as far as eating. That's how genius level our body works. Genes work. That your digestive system is the provision for you to bring in foreign organisms into your body. And that is for foreign organisms. Supposedly these males are our species, right? Which means you should have had a provision for you to have sperm come into your body, which means there would be no immune response. You have an immune response because you're not meant to be receiving sperm from them, which means the reproduction factor is the second time. That is the second proof that it is not supposed to happen. And this proof, they exist. So many of them. There's so many more of them. And scientists have known this. They have seen it. They have done studies of why there is an immune response. And they refuse to accept the clues that is facing them in their faces. One of many clues. The only time your body has an immune response. Excuse me, the only provisions your body made for a foreign organism is your digestive system. Scientists have all these signs pointing to all the wrong things, and they refuse to accept it. Being that the refusal is based on the foundation that the male presence in the human species must be normal. That is the basis of their assumption. So that's why they have to figure out why is that an immune system? Why are you triggering an immune system? Male babies abort because of the mother's immune system. Your immune system knows something is not right because that is not what it designed for you to have a baby, because it has a sense. It has a way of knowing what is your biology and what is not your biology. Scientists have these data. These are the same, this information I got from what the papers that they wrote, except that their interpretation was wrong because they're basing it on the assumption that they are normal, that these males, their appearance in the human species is a normal occurrence. But I knew that they are not, simply because of this one fact. Your own species is not supposed to prey on you. We you know that? We have seen that in many, many ways, in many instances, that when that has been activated, the reason we give each other the benefit of doubt, the reason we can afford that is because there inherently is not supposed to be any kind of predation between us. That is why we can afford to give each other the benefit of doubt of being good, of the assumption of goodness. That is where that is coming from. Remember what I said? That when a certain behavior, your genes have a support system, right? An entire system of making sure that behavior works well. That is where that is coming from. The reason you have that benefit of doubt is so that is because your species is supposed to be 100%. Let me repeat that: 100% safe for you. If there is any possibility that it is not, you would not have that benefit of doubt. And have you ever observed other organisms? Have you ever observed other organisms? When they're seeking food, they don't seek their own. They know the food. They know one thing about the food. Actually, they know two things about the food. One, it is not their own. The food is not their own. First, their own species. And what the food looks like, and what is attractive, and what is attractive to them would be the food. They know that. These signs are there. I got all of these from these damn papers that the same scientists wrote, except they had the wrong interpretation because their interpretation is based on the foundational lie that these males are human. And so if you think that these males are human, you would be expecting that whatever is happening is just how human works. And of course, the reason that assumption is there is because the males cannot handle that they are not normal, that they are not the owner of the human species. They cannot accept that. And they would rather kill every last female than admit that. If you were supposed to have a child with a male via sex, why would they kill girls? Why would they kill girls? Because girls are useless. I need you to understand this. The entire purpose of reproduction is to reproduce yourself. Let me repeat that. Your entire purpose, the entire purpose of reproducing is not to reproduce your kind. That is an ancillary purpose. That is an ancillary purpose. The purpose of reproducing is to reproduce yourself. Let me repeat that. The entire purpose of reproducing is to duplicate yourself. You are making another one of you. Not your kind, not your people, not your tribe, not your religion. You are supposed to make more of you. You are supposed to make more of you. That is the core purpose of reproduction. Yes. So when a woman reproduces, they turn around and say her self that she made is useless. Do you understand how sickening this is? This is why these things make me sick to my stomach. This is why they make me ill. This is why seeing their faces disturbs my soul. They want more boys. but you can't have a girl. Sickening. Things are creatures. They are creatures. And they cannot be allowed to continue. As useless. Baby girls are useless. Girls are useless. Do you understand what that means? If baby girls are useless, you as a female is useless. And as if on cue, do you know how many times I came across males? I had conversations with males where they are literally telling me that women are useless to them. If girls are useless, so are women. This is exactly how I know they want us all dead. The reason we are still alive is because they are using us. And when such time comes that they no longer need us, they will massacre all of us. There is no option. This is how I know if baby girls are useless, so are women. And they have said that enough for that to be the only thing that they actually believe. You know how many conversations I've had with them trying to convince me that I am useless because I am female. You come through a female. You cannot exist unless you come through a female, but a female is useless to you. Do you have to understand how demonic this has to be? Ain't no good about these creatures. Don't play with me. Every woman who thinks that there's any good in them needs to be dealt with. Once we have eradicated this nonsense, this plague, they will need to be dealt with to say that we are useless when they come through us. Those women will need to be dealt with. I don't care. I don't care about their brainwash. They will need to be dealt with, because if you cannot understand the words on this page, what use are you as a woman of higher intelligence? Baby girls are useless when they need baby girls to exist so they can exist. It's a fucking evil. Their very existence is evil itself. No good in this creature who does this. I'm actually gonna have to call it a day now. So you need to understand what we are dealing with. They are coming through, they're coming to life through us, and we are still useless to them. What happens when we actually are useless? When they no longer need us? What do you think happens? What is the thing that you think is going to happen? There is no other option. It is very, very clear to me. There is only one thing that is going to happen. If it's not clear to you, you need to take another look in the mirror. It's very clear to me what will happen when they have their artificial womb, when they have their artificial females, when they can duplicate our eggs. There is one option left. It's going to be them or it's going to be us. That is the catalyst that we've always had. We just only now realizing it. I just now realized it. And now it is time that you realize it. It's always been either us or either them. That's why they've been killing us. That's always what the calculus was. That's always what the calculus always was. This is why they tell you to sacrifice yourself for them. It is them or it is you. There has never been a partnership of any kind. I read a comment on YouTube just yesterday that says that your wife is not your partner. She's your wife because you were supposed to sacrifice this woman for yourself. That is what was underneath that comment. That is what was unsaid in that comment. That is the alien freaking parasite language that was left off in that comment. You were supposed to sacrifice that woman for you to live. That is what they are. This is what they really are. It's always been them or us. That is why we have been dying. Because they knew that and we did not. So it is time that we wake up. It is time we wake up and fight, God damn it. Because that's what it's going to take to save ourselves. AI revolution is here upon us. We don't have much time.